All right, can you believe it's been a week already? One nation ready to get going. I am still Brian Kilmeade. Tonight on the show, you're going to love these three guests and many more. Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the great stories in the 2024 run for the presidency. Jesse Waters got some great news this week. He's going to be the new 8 o'clock host. He's going to tell us what it really feels like. And will he be able to sleep later? Michael Loftus, a comedian who likes Trump but doesn't hate our country. Can you imagine? All right, that's then, but this is now. First this. And to get to it, we have to look back at the last 2 years. You know, we've watched this administration jam policies down our throats, spend billions of our taxpayer dollars, but apparently President Biden doesn't feel the American people are worthy of an explanation to the thought pattern behind those policies and how they make our country better. And I get the sense this country is fed up. No one epitomized the elitist arrogance for me and probably for you than climate czar John Kerry. The yacht-loving, private jet-flying, green maven blasted on Capitol Hill this week.
Secretary Kerry, thank you so much for coming here. I hope it wasn't too problematic for your operational team and your private jet to get here.
You're not going to tell us who's
I'm not going to go
office.
through them by name because that is not the required process of the State Department.
I'm not going to argue about it, Mr. Kerry, Secretary Kerry. I'm not going to argue about it. You said you're not going to answer. You're not going to answer. It's par for the course.
Yeah, it's his wife that had the private jet. He didn't have the private jet. John Kerry looks at the war in Ukraine. Think about this. Not as death and destruction. He thinks green. Doesn't think about human strife, but a climate catastrophe.
But when you have bombs going off and you have damage to septic tanks or to power centers, et cetera, you have an enormous release of greenhouse gas, of methane, of, all of the family of greenhouse gases.
Yes, honey, our children are dead, but the bad news is our septic tank's got a leak. Unbelievable. The message is all lost. We are supporting a war that is in our national interest. That's what I believe. That's what you should believe. I believe that you should believe that. Now, we are watching Ukraine diminish and degrade one of our primary adversaries in Russia, right? They've lost 50 to 70% of their fighting force. I mean, 200,000 casualties. Their weapons arsenals have dwindled to catastrophically low levels. This is good news for us, all at a cost of 5% of our military budget. And no American blood has been spilled, astoundingly. Now, the Biden administration feels no need to explain this to a disenchanted public who believe here at home should be the legitimate concerns, right? I understand the other point of view. And no press conferences to explain his point of view. No speeches to explain his policy. Very few interviews. No town halls. I mean, listen to the arrogance when questioned at a rare dual presser in Helsinki.
I absolutely guarantee it. There is no question. There's overwhelming support from the American people. There's overwhelming support from the members of the Congress, both House and Senate, in both parties, notwithstanding the fact there's some extreme elements of one party. We will stand together.
Now, look, I support the war. I think there's a reason for it. But many of you don't, and you have good reasons for that. It is losing support right now, depleting our weapons stock. We have no massive plans to replenish our weapons stock, giving more fuel to the war critics. And this revelation.
They're running out of that ammunition, and we're low on it. We took the recommendation of the Defense Department to, not permanently, but to allow for, in this transition period where we get more 155 weapons, these shells for the Ukrainians.
So what he's trying to say and stumbling through is we're losing the amount of 155 shells needed to fight a war ourselves. That's a problem. No plans to replenish it. That's a problem. This is why his approval numbers are in the high 30s. How is he able to shuffle through 2 years like this, not telling you what's going on? Maybe he doesn't even know. I'll tell you this. It's because most of the media covers for him. They ignore the Hunter investigation and the clear path to Joe Biden when he was vice president. Who knows? Maybe even now. They accept that no one will ever find out who bought the cocaine into the White House and try to make him appear lucid.
The guy's up there handling questions on the world stage and without really missing a beat.
Anybody who's spent any time with Joe Biden since he's been in the Oval Office knows that he's as sharp as a tack.
Does he really believe that? When the president stumbles, stammers, and wanders, they blame other people, not him.
I don't think they do a good job. helping out the president. If you are managing a president's schedule and you are managing a president getting on stage and getting off stage and getting on planes and getting off planes, and yes, he's 80. You need to be there for him, and you need to make a pathway, and you sure as hell better make sure he doesn't fall on a sandbag.
You mean that was there the whole commencement, and you have to make sure a president can walk there and back into a plane, an awful plane, or else it's the staff's fault? Let's get back to reality here, people. People are beginning to get it. How about the people in the non-spin zone among the left? There is a new Joe must go movement and not run. In fact, new revelations show from other networks that there's no real re-election campaign, no infrastructure, no hires, no slogan, no posters, no momentum, no enthusiasm for 4 more years. One CNN report says whispers are on the sidelines, text messages, emails, phone calls among top donors are about replacing Joe Biden on the left. Biden's performance is just plain dangerous.
It's symptomatic of what we've seen, that he's in decline at a geometric rate. So each session that we see him abroad becomes more embarrassing, and it poses this question: what are the Democratic Party, what are they going to do? And they want him to finish his term, and I don't think they want him to run for re-election.
Okay, if they don't, what would that mean? Cue Kamala?
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. This issue of transportation is fundamentally about just making sure that people have the ability to get where they need to go.
Exactly. Well, maybe not. This could wind up to be a battle royal on the left without either one of them, which could mean whoever emerges on the right would be favored to take the White House back. Joining me now is one of those people who thinks they can take the White House, one of 12 candidates vying to be the 2024 Republican nominee, Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, welcome back.
It's good to talk to you, Brian. How are you?
Good. How much are you looking on the other side to see what you're up against?
Well, look, I think that I'm actually talking to you from a campaign bus here in Iowa. One of the things that I see is people across this country have lost their faith in the leader of the free world. And I think that's a sad thing to see in this country. My view is that Biden's over twice my age. It is time for somebody who's actually running to something. This is where I want to see the conservative movement level up as well, as for a long time, we've been running from something. Now is our moment to start running to something. And I think that is how we defeat Biden, not just in a 50.1 election. I think there are other presidential candidates who can do that, too. This is how we actually defeat Biden in a landslide election akin to what Ronald Reagan delivered in 1980. That's what I'm in this race to deliver.
Vivek, you've done something that Donald Trump did in 2015 leading up to 2016. You'll do interviews at any time, anywhere, big outlets, small ad, hostile outlets, friendly outlets. What has that done for your candidacy? Why take on all comers as a rookie politician?
I think I'm running to lead a nation, Brian. That's the point. I like the title of your show, One Nation. We are one nation. I'm not running to lead a political party. And I think that's a difference where we can preach about free speech to our tribe who agrees with us. It's a lot harder to talk to the people who disagree with us. And so I've made it a point on this campaign, Brian, to go to college campuses from here in Iowa to New Hampshire to across this country, to talk to left-wing media. There was actually a protester at my event in Iowa earlier this week. Actually, there was another one at an event last night. Every time I give them the mic and I say, you get to speak your mind, I will answer your question as long as I get to in return. And I think one of the things I've seen, Brian, is that, first of all, that actually unites us as Americans. Even if we disagree vehemently, as long as we're actually committed to free speech, that's one basis for unity. The other thing is there are opportunities for common ground that we miss. Most Americans are dead set against that Swiss cheese of a southern border remaining open, whether it's the south side of Chicago where I traveled, or whether it's conservative audiences here in Iowa. They share a commitment to those basic ideals like the rule of law, including at the southern border. So I'm actually optimistic.
So, Vivek, you said I want to be third by the debate. I want to be close by the time Iowa. And you're third in a lot of polls. Late June, you're up third in individual polls. You're definitely on the rise in front of Mike Pence, breathing down Governor DeSantis' neck. that means a lot to you. One thing is also, as much money as you've had, and you put 10 million of your own into it, so you'll put 100 million if you have to. Your fundraising campaign. What is your theory? If people will become fundraisers for you, they can keep 10% of what they raise?
Well, I'll tell you, first thing is, as of this week, Brian, I'm happy to share with you, we've crossed 65,000 unique donors already, which is remarkable because we've never had a political donor in my life. And yet we're already past 65,000 when many other candidates, I think, are still struggling to get to that 40,000 RNC debate threshold. Now, what I realized is that for bigger money fundraising, there's a game in politics, and it irritates the heck out of me, where there's these special political fundraisers act like they have some professional skill set, and they keep up to 10% of what they raise. So I joke around, Biden talks about 10% for the big guy. That was the expression for Biden. I say, let's do 10% for the little guy. Anybody who wants to raise money for this campaign, we train them on how to do it, go through the compliance and everything else. What you raise for Vivek 2024, you get to keep 10% of. They just go to the website, vivek2024.com, they sign up. And I'm happy to say for the first time here, Brian, we have over 1,000 people that signed up in less than just the first week of announcing this program. So this is a grassroots campaign all the way, and I think that's the character of what we're building.
Vivek, you're one of the great stories to emerge, even if your candidacy stopped today, which it's not. Just getting on a roll. I can't wait to see you on the debate stage. Thanks so much.
We're just getting warmed up, Brian. Thanks a lot.
I get the sense.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.